Okay, so previously we explained the halo asman to the level of tikkun, to the level of atzilus. Now he says the inyan b'chinas halo asman b'chinas hatoyu. So what is the halo asman, the mayim nukim, to the level of toyu? Basically, the halo asman to tikkun was Torah mitzvahs, but he's going to say to be mamshich from the level of seviv kol almin to the level of toyu. Toyu is another word for seviv kol almin, as he's going to explain over here now in the parenthesis exactly what toyu is. But once he's going to explain what toyu is in the parentheses, he's going back. He just interrupts here, explaining what is toyu. So we're going to learn that in order to go to up to the level of toyu, that requires bittul, that requires iskafia, that requires like when the grain, before it grows, the grain has to rot in the ground and then it can grow. Before you can have the mayim nukvin for the tikkun, for the Torah mitzvahs, you have to have the level of bittul, the level of halo asman to the level of toyu. So he says like this: Hine toyu hu b'chinas v'inyan b'chinas halo asman b'chinas hatoyu. Hine toyu b'chinas seviv kol almin. When you say toyu is the level of seviv kol almin koyi al sfiras hakeser. That talks about the sfiras of keser. He's going to explain soon within keser the two madregas. There's a level of ayin and efes, the level of arich ampin and the level of atik, both in keser, and both are this level of seviv kol almin. Kihine the pardes be'erka kinuyim erech toyu v'zel shoyim. So over there on the erech and the toyu, he explains as follows: Habina nikra toyu chulu. Bina is called toyu. As he explains soon, that bina is also in a way a keser for zoh. That's why we also call it toyu, as he's going to explain in a minute. But this is from the pardes. The boyer says, what is toyu? Davar hamitaha es b'nei ohodom chulu. Something that bewilders, that surprises the people. That is kihiyuli, it's like a potential. Shuhu davar she'ein li tzura. It's a matter which has no shape. Vukodem el hametziyas hatzura. This is prior to the existence of a shape. Chulu. In Chassidus and other places, not exactly, just to give some idea what we're talking about here. So let's say you have a flint stone called a tzura chalomish. So the stone itself has a potential. When you scratch the stone, you scrape it, you're going to get fire from there. The fire is the metzias. But before there is a metzias, there is a potential. Now, in the hiyuli, you can soak that stone in water. It's not going to extinguish it because there is no actual shape of fire over there yet. It's only a potential for it. That's called like the toyu. That's shudavar she'en litzura v'kodam el hametzias hatzura. So according to the pardes over there, this would be the bina, or this is in Sefer HaBoyer, that would be the level of bina, which comes before the Metzias Agilu. So when it comes in Zoh, in the Sfiris, over there it comes out, the Abba V'yira, the Midas come out in the open lay. In the bina, there's still like an Iyuli, a potential for it. Chen kosu beit Chaim Sharmem Alam, Perigimel b'shem Haramban, Apostik v'horetz oiso toyu, u'b'shem Sefer HaBoyer, b'pirush Apostik, me'efes v'toyu nechshavu. So over there is all the lotion of toyu over there. This posik is in Yeshaya Simamem posik Yud Zayin. B'zel l'shoyne. So this is what I write. V'inyan ki ein sof nikra efes. The ein sof is called zero. Why? Ki ein b'shum tfisa chulu. Because over there is nothing to grab hold. There's zero. There's nothing there. After the Ein Sof comes out to you, which is Keser. So you have the Ein Sof, then you have Keser. Keser is similar to the earlier stages of the material. Hanikra Hiyuli. It's called potential. Kol hayidalad yisoidis bekoyach v'loy bepoil. He has the root of all the four elements potentially, but not actually, not in actuality. V'loche nikra toyu. That's why it's called toyu. Ki hu metahe machshavos bnei odom. For it bewilders the thoughts of people. Einshol. This level is beyond understanding. The Gemara brings down that the Eibishter showed Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabbi Akiva, who was darshaning all these drushes, and he says, why don't you make him the leader? And the Eibishter says, no, you have to be. Moshe Rabbeinu said, well, you give it to Rabbi Akiva. Then Eibishter showed him what happened at the end of Rabbi Akiva, that they killed him. So he says, why is that? In other words, there's a level which is higher than machshava, which is the level of hiyuli, the level of keser. Ayin bir kakol with chuppah peribes. Okay, akoponim midivrei move on. But what are we trying to say? Because usually we associate toyu with shviras hakelim, and we're saying that there's a correction, but here we're saying there's toyu de kedusha. That in kedusha there is keser, is called toyu. What is the toyu? Chaos. Chaos means it's toyu de kedusha. That is something which is not understood. We don't understand it, so it's called chaos relative to us. V'hainu hakeser. That is keser. Ki hachokma me'ayin timotzi. Because chokma is founded from ayin, from keser. Me'ayin timotze, which is what? Which is yesh me'ayin. Chochma ayin timotze, which is the level of yesh me'ayin. So, pi divrei Eitz Chaim yesh loymar. So based on the words of the Eitz Chaim says basically that what? That Efes is the Ein Sof. Right? So we can say Efes and Toyu hem beis abchinas shebekeser. So the Efes and Toyu are the two levels within Keser. Abchina hatachtoina shebemaitzil, the lower level in the maitzil, in the separator, the one who separates Hashem, shubchinas atik, which is the level of atik, nikra Efes, that's called Efes. That's the Ein Sof. Ubchinas arich ampin, and the level of arich ampin, which is shorish hanetzolim, that's nikra toyu. V'ayim mashekosu b'inyan b'mokem achar b'inyan ve'ein zu loscho malkeinu l'chaya elam haba. So over there it says ein zu loscho. There is nobody besides you, our king l'chaya elam haba. So the level of ein hainu gan eden. That's talking about gan eden. Efes built chogoy le'mesa Mashiach, which means shall be mesa Mashiach yaharim b'chinas Efes. That'll be in a higher level than ayin. There's a level of ayin and the level of efes. Level of ayin, then there's efes. Ayin efes, as in Pasuk in Yeshaya, Perek Mamala Pasuk Yud Beis. But the bottom line is that there is the two, they're all in Toyu, and the two level of Keser, and the level of ayin efes, or and Zuloscha and Efes Miltucha. And Chochma is a Rei Me'ayin Timotza. Me'er is Aleph Siv Samdala. It says Ayin Nikra Rekampin. So if it's Ayin, Sivku Vid Aleph, it says Efes Nikra Ein Sof. So you see that Arich Ampin, the Chitzonis HaKeser, the lower level of Keser is Ayin. And in Sivku Vid Aleph, it says Efes Nikra Ein Sof. That's the Atik. Also, what we brought down before from the Pardes, that the Bina is called Toyu. Is because it's also a Kesel Lezov. Nikras Gamkein, who do Atika, as we say, Levi, who Levi is the level of Bina versus the Kohen, the Chochmah. And who do Atika? So in other words, Atik and Bina is associated. Anyways, this is all a parentheses over here telling us what toyu is. But keser, ayin, efes, the pnimis hakeser, sinis hakeser, Yuli, the various different interpretations. But the bottom line is we need to have halo asman, mayim nukvim, to the level of toyu. Hainu. So how do we do the halo asman to the level of toyu? Hainu b'mitzvah achilas matzah b'shavua aleph yimei hasvira. That comes through eating matzah in the first week of the svira. Previously, we learned hayom yom when we come to svira sa'omer. That's already the hamshacha, and in which we are mamshich through the halo asman, midos to his hapcha, through the midos, through the working. But here we're talking about the first week of the svira. You have to have first the level of ma'im nukvim to the level of to the level of ma'im nukvim to the level of toyu. Before you have halos man detikun in the 7 weeks of the svira, you need first to have halos man to toyu. Well, you know what is the idea? Matzah she'ein lo tam ve'ein bo b'chinas hagbo v'isnasus kis'oir kinal. When we talk about what is matzah, matzah doesn't have a taste. Matzah does not rise. It does not have the level of isnasus, of horiness, like sourdough kis'oir kinal. So who b'chinas moichin da'abo? That is the level of moichin da'abo, that is chokhmah. It's chokhmah, the way it's dressed up in the level of katnus and small, in the level of matzah, as he's going to explain now by Riches. So to explain this matter that is known, al derech shomer Razal, similar, our sages of blessed memory tell us, ein hatinuk yedei likris abba ad sheyitim tam dogon, that a child does not know how to say father until he tastes the taste of grain. Basically, starts to speak when he starts to eat. He's nursing, he doesn't eat when he's. The Gemara brings this down that what did the Eitz Hadas that he ate from Adam and Chava? So it says that after they ate, that their eyes opened up, all of a sudden they can see, they got smart basically. And the Yedu Kerumim, they knew that they were undressed, they didn't know before. It means that they got smart. So what did they eat that made them smart? So the Gemara says, it brings down an opinion, various opinions there, but one opinion says they ate the chita, they ate the wheat. Why? Because once you eat wheat, that's when you get seichel, that's when you, like a child, can start to say father. Pirush. But what does it mean he knows how to call father? Pirush yedeya likris abba. When he says that he knows how to call father is below habona seichel v'tam. That is without understanding and reason. Ach mikomokim yedeya likris ki'ilu mevin chulu. He still knows. He says father as if he would understand, but he doesn't really understand. But it's dressed up in it. Bahainu. The reason is because the moichin of Abba entered the child when he tastes the taste of the grain. Chita is the level of chokhmah. Eating the chita brings him the level of chokhmah. So that's matzah. Matzah is doch made out of chita. That's made out of wheat, right? And that brings the level of chokhmah, but it brings it in a level of katnus, in a level of matzah. We'll see. As the sages tell us, that Eitz Hadas chita hoisa, that there was chita, and because they ate the chita, they got the chokhmah. So he gets the chokhmah, but he gets it in a very actually slapshus, shalboshas, moichin da'aba etzloi, but the dress up of the moichin by the child is like zakatnus adayin. Because he's still a child, so he doesn't know exactly. He doesn't know. So he gets the chokhmah, but he doesn't know exactly. Also in matzah, which is called the poor man's bread. So you have the chito, you make regular bread, you make soir, you make with sourdough, and it rises. That's considered to be good bread, big chokhmah. But matzah is considered lachamayne. So moichel da'aba, it has moichel da'aba. It is dressed up in a small. That's what's like monachul. V'ayma shekosum izeh b'sidr al posik v'yigadeto levincha b'yem hahu v'chein mevuer al posik sheishes yomim techel matzis. It's explained also on the posik of sheishes techel matzis. Okay, so what does it mean they had moichim but it was bekatnus? We're talking about the Yetzias Mitzrayim. During the exile of Egypt, the Yidden were in total smallness. They were very small. As the Pasuk says, Shem said, I saw you in the bloods because the Yidden didn't have any mitzvahs. So the Eibishter gave him the dam bris and the dam mitzvah because they were in a very poor state. Why? They were in the metal kiln, the furnace, the Memtes Shari Tuma, that was in the 49 gates of Tuma, the Mitzrayim, which was B'chinas Achoraim Delikim Achedim Chulu. They were like in the back of Elikim Achedim. Ad Shenigla Aliyam Melechulu, until the Eibishter revealed himself. The Yidden were a very down, very low, moral, spiritual, in a level of Achoraim and Memtes Shari Tuma. And the Eibishter revealed himself. The Hainu. So this revelation was B'chinas Dilu Godel. The Eibishter to come down all the way was a big jump. Shaloi Ba'adroga Klal. It wasn't at all in a step-by-step. It wasn't in a step-by-step way. That's why we call it Pesach al Shem B'chinas Hadiluk, because of the jump. Hashem jumped over the door. What does it mean? The Hainu Shenimshchu B'chinas HaMoichin Shaloi Kiseder Ba'adroga Ela B'chinas Dilu Godel K'meshe Kosu B'Piris Chaim. That means that the level of Moichin were not in the order, but there was a big jump. The level of K'meshe Kosu B'Piris Chaim. B'Hainu, that is the idea of the halboshas moichi inyan halboshas b'chinas moichin da'abo b'chinas hakatnos shu inyan hamatzachulu kinal shu inyan hamatzach. So that means that the moichin of Abba dresses up in katnos because you have the highest level of moichin da'abo, and then it comes down into the matzah, meaning the Ein Sof nigla alei melech into the memtes sharitum. Lakach ein bo tamurgash v'lei b'chinas is nasus. That's why the matzah doesn't have a taste that is felt. There's no rising there. So I knew b'chinas is kafya kinal. This is, like I said earlier, that's the level of forcing yourself, pushing yourself. So b'chinas bitul rotzin bilvad. It's just giving up your wishes alone. It's not that you understand it because you really do it because you've comprehended it and you agree, but you give up what I want to do what the Eibishter wants me to do. It's b'chinas katnus. It's in a small way. Through his kafia, you get to toyu, you get to kesed, you get to the higher level. There you get sev kolam. Rak shebo b'chinas dilu godel kol kach kenal. However, it's only that it comes in a great jump. because it has to come up from a very high place, from Keser, all the way into Halos Man, from this Rotzin, Bitl Rotzin. I know the Inyan of B'chinas Halos Man B'chinas Hatoyu. And this is the idea and the level of bringing of the Maya Nukvel B'chinas Hatoyu, Shub'chinas Sefer Kanal, Shehu Al Yidei Iskafia Davke B'chinas HaBitl. That is Davke through Iskafia. Ki Yevshel Lahamshich L'Psichinas Soivev. You cannot. It's Davke Iskafia. Kimrak B'chinas HaBitl Bevad V'loi B'chinas Iskafia. Not when you turn yourself around. Ishapcha is good, but that's the second step. How do you get into the level of Soivev is only through Bitl Rotzen, only through Iskafia, only through forcing yourself. Why is that? Matamu. The reason is, Ki b'chinas habitl harebo hadovor lebchinas ayin mamash. But in the level of bitl, so this matter comes, so you become nothing. Because you give up, you're just pushing yourself. So so that way you also bring about, you arouse also the true level of ayin by you. That is ayin, because that's not there, because we don't recognize that, because it's hidden, it surrounds the world. That's the level of ayin. If you turn yourself around, but then you're a level of a yesh, then you're an entity. Here's an example. Come on. When you get excited with love, or similar to this, in all the level of keli, that we make the kelim, we said, from all the tzutzis and all we make all the kelim for the oiris through mevarer, the mitzvahs, the bringing up the rapach kenal. You don't bring about, you're not arousing the level of toyu, which is ayin, which is built in nigla. Over there, you're not getting the ayin. That's why you only get the level of tikkun. Because it comes within a keli. That's level of a malach. So that you're murdered in the level of tikkun. That's through the kelim, through the birabach netzutzim, through lava, through the level of yesh. But how do you get to the level of ayin? That's to the level of bittul, to the level of non. The ayin kai gavna bebiur azoyer beparshas emra posik. V'gam omna chosi basi omna chosi basabi. Some this buyer over there, it's explained. That there is certain level in Yira. I feel it be Yira Tato. Even when we talk about the lower level of Yira, that should be higher than Ava. Yira is the level of Bittel, the level of Ayin. So even in the lower level of Yira, there is in Yira a higher than the level of Ava. So Ava who bechinas yesh mishoev. Ava comes from the level, oh, there's an entity. Oh, I'm somebody that loves. I love. That comes from Bina. Aval hayira, but when you say Yira, he bechinas bittel. That's the level of subjugation. Av Yira tato, even though he chokhma tato. That's Bina, this is chokhma. Yeah, lower level, the lower chokhmah, but it's still chokhmah. And mikoma koim shorsha michokhmah lo she bechinas ayin ulamayla ma'bina shenikra yesh. It's higher because ki chokhmah bina hem ayin yesh. Chokhmah is ayin and bina is yesh chulu ayin shom. That's explained. So it was explained, Oni. But the matzah, which is the poor bread, which is b'chinas is kafia, the level is kafia, agas l'mayla yoser b'chinas is habcha. It reaches higher than the level of his habcha. So over there, he's trying to point out to see that the level of bittul, the level of his kafia, reaches higher than the level of ava, because ava is bina, is a yesh, and this is the level of ayin. Chokhmah ilo, chokhmah tato, but still this is the level of chokhmah. Chokhmah is bittul, and therefore it reaches into the level of ayin. Further, it explained on the pasuk simani ki choysem. Over there on the pasuk simani ki choysem, it's a seal. So what happens? You have you have two kinds of a seal. So you have a seal which sticks out, like the shape when you put it into the wax, right? What do you get? You get an indent. So if there's a yesh, there's actually on the seal, there is something there. So then what do you get from the other side? From the other side, you get an indent. The indent is a lower level, you don't get at the top. But if you have a seal which is engraved, which is level of bittul, there's nothing there, and you press it against the wax, then you get the outdent, then you get the, in other words, you get the higher level. So this says like this, if you have a seal that is sunk in, Shemilmato, Shuayira, that is called the level of Yira. That's the Chayshikeya. Mamshich Chaysim Boilet Shemilmaila. This brings about the protruding seal from above. Shuam Shochem B'chinas Sevu Kulam. Mashenke B'chinas Ava. Ava no. Ava is like the Chaysim protruding. You don't get to the high level. So, Commercial Kosu. Davke al yidei hamatzah shenyona kemoy hachosim shekeya shemel mata. Davke through matzah, which is similar to the idea of the seal, which is sunk in below. They said davke mamshich b'chinas sevikulam b'chinas gilui. Then you get gilui aderech chosim boilet. Then you get a chosim boilet, which is hahepech. Which is opposite of not seeing, but then you get the higher level of the return. So, Oyo Inyan Yitzias Mitzrayim. And this was the idea of Yitzias Mitzrayim, to be mamshich from the level of Sevuk Lamim. Derech Zeh, this buyer, B'Sefer Shel Beinonim, and similar. It explains that there explains the saying of our sages, Apostle, that you should see Eved Alikim, the Asher Lo Yavodei. Shubichinas is Kafia, Yosef ben Arigilus. Of there it talks who serves Hashem and the one that doesn't serve Hashem. So he explains that what does it mean serving Hashem? To do more than you are comfortable doing, more than what you're accustomed. Shubichinas is Kafia, Yosef ben Arigilus. That's why it's called the Eved Elikim. So there's a beautiful hint for this. And how did they hint it? They said, Ki meyop omi ve'echod gematria me'ayin. Because 101 is me'ayin. Mem yud nun, mem and yud, and Nun is 100, and Aleph is 101. So the hint is you're doing 101, you get ayin. Me'ayin. Al derech ha-chokhmah, me'ayin t'motzeh. Chokhmah comes from ayin, which means you're going to get the keser, you're going to get the ayin if you're going to do one extra. If you're going to do 101, you're going to get ayin. You're going to get me'ayin. You're going to get from ayin, like the chokhmah gets me'ayin. You're going to come from that. From the level, the 101, that's the avodah That's the service that you're working more than the regulars. Parsha Shlach Kuf Nun Ches Beis Al Posik Hayesh Bo Eitz Im Ayin. So there's also the word Ayin over there. So over there it says Bam Shochas B'chinas Ayin Shemenu Timotzei HaChochma Hanikra Eitz Chaim Zeu Aydei Iskafye Davke, that comes Davke through pushing yourself. Dahaina Inyan which is the idea of learning the chapter 101 times. That's the first result. This is the root idea of iskafia when we eat matzah, the b'chinas bittul, the level of subjugation. Before you come to level ishapcha, turn around the midas, which is later on in Shirasha Omer. The first week you need to have the level of bittul. Because to bring up the ma'im nukvim to the level of toyu be'echrech tzorich liyus koidem, that has to come first lebchinas halos man lebchinas hatikun, before you bring up the man lebchinas hatikun. Okay, before lemailo, as explained earlier, be'inyan moshel hagarim, it brings the example of the seed. You can't grow the seed. You won't have dress up the power of growth. First, the seed has to rot and becomes nothing, and then he's going to get the higher level. What is the idea? So why does it have to rot first? Has to become ayin first before it can grow. What is the root? Where is the power that grows around nimshach? That comes from the Eibishter saying, "Tadshe ha'oretz deshe." Shu b'chinas koyach eliki mamish. That is the saying, let the earth grow, and it gives it into the ground. That is a godly power mamish. It comes down b'chinas malchus, shebe malchus shebe asiya, in malchus of asiya, in the order of ishtalshel, shemimen nimshach kol isavas ored v'chol asher ba chulu. From this, everything that was created comes from level of malchus asiya. But just because it's gone to Malchus, it doesn't lose its potency, that it's still a koyach eliki, it's still a godly power, even though it's Malchus. And it's known, the Gam B'Sfira Yosher Achreinu, it's even in the very last Sfira, etc. Like the B'chinas Malchus, the Malchus, the Asiya, the Malchus Asiya, Shoyre Mib'chinas Ha'atzmius in Eresof. The rest, the Asmi is so. Kigam b'bchinas malchus shemalchus asiya, because also in the level of malchus asiya, shorsho b'bchinas kelim achatzenim dezo. Its root is from the external kelim of zo avatzilus. So the malchus of malchus still gets the external kelim of atzilus. What does it mean? So it says like this. Kibiyut kelim apnimin, from the 10 inner kelim, nasa b'chinas neshama b'briya. That becomes the neshama of briya. Umayut kelim hatichoinim, the middle ones, nasa neshama l'yitzir is the yitzira. That becomes the neshama for the tasur yitzira. Umayut kelim hachitzoinim, nasa neshama b'asiya. Oh, so we have mamish from Zoh in Malchus, the Malchus Asiya, but it's the Ken B'chitzoni, but it's still from Atzilus, it's godly light. V'ayim izeh b'lekutei Torah b'shir hashirim b'dim Ramask l'inen medalig al ha'orim b'shom Perik Aleph u'b'sidur b'dim Ramask l'over ha'hersh b'krishma l'tfilah v'azer Amr Razal, and the result hinted this Shamalchus niknim b'shloshim malos. 30 steps. That's what the 30, 10, 10, and 10. Hainu, Shloishim Kelim Tatzilus. Shanasi Neshama Libri Yitzirasi. All right. Leave it over here.